We got sound. All right, welcome to the 9th episode of the Zone's All Access, hosted by the Sports Center. Making this possible is our team of marketing partners. Our premier partners, Whitaker Insurance, J&S Concrete Pumping, Walker & Walker Construction, Hearthside Bank, Stay and Play, Doggy Daycare, and more, and Value RX Pharmacy, Tazewell, Tennessee. As always, thanks to First Century Bank for the communications. Today, I have Mason Goad, strength coach. Thanks for coming today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what sport did you play?
So I am from here, born and raised. Grew up here on the other side of the river.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, played basketball, baseball, and football most of my life. I didn't actually start playing basketball until about 5th grade, and fell in love with that. Dropped baseball, stayed with football for a little while, then dropped football, picked it back up a little bit in high school. And ironically, I think it was my sophomore year, Coach Klein got me to come back out and play. And that wound up being one of the best seasons in Cumberland Gap history. And I missed 2 basketball games. I'm like, I'm not doing this again because basketball was my sport. So that's what I kind of stuck with all the way through high school, and then partially in college. And then I kind of got back into the coaching side of things after that.
Yeah. What did you learn from playing sports?
Sports taught me a lot. I would say mostly about myself as far as personal accountability, knowing that there are going to be times when you have other people that rely on you. And so no matter what we're doing, whether it's, running, sprints, needing to touch the line, I needed to do what I needed to do to help our team, whether whether it was something small, something major. I knew that there were people counting on me.
Okay, well, did you have a favorite sport, and why?
So mine was basketball. Like I said, growing up, I would say it was baseball. My dad was a baseball player, loved it, played it in college. But 5th grade, picked it up, made the team at XY Livesey under Coach Harville. And then soon after that, the high schools opened up, and then Coach Ernie Mac Clausen came into the picture. And I grew a love from there, and it was all that I wanted to do. I practiced all the time, was fortunate enough to play some pretty high level AAU. I got to travel the country, so it was my love.
Okay, did any coach or person stand out during your tenure in high school sports or whatever that helped you not only in sports but in life?
Gosh, I would. It's a long list. I don't want to leave anybody off. I would say starting off, Coach Clausen, when I went to HY, he was younger then, but he was fresh from the high school. He was very intense. That was something I wasn't used to.
He was intense.
Yeah, he was intense. But I feel as if it made me a better player in a lot of ways. Coach Clausen taught me a lot about life. He instilled a lot in me even after, because when I came back from Carson Newman from playing basketball, I came back to LMU and coached under Ernie Mac for 2 to 3 years before I received my degree and started coaching here in the county. So I would say Ernie Mac for sure. That was one of my first major coaches. But also with that, I got to give a big shout out to Coach Klein. He was a huge influence in my life, and Coach Joe Wolfenbarger was my basketball coach for most of my years in high school. And I always tell people, that was a guy that he would literally, and I know this is said all the time, but he would keep the shirt off his back. He went up and above and beyond the call of duty when it came to us as his players.
How did you get into the strength side of sports?
So for me, I had originally started out my freshman year at Carson Newman. I was going to go into athletic training, and then at the time I was going to play basketball. realized that schedule was crazy, and I wanted something that would keep me around sports originally. So as much as I enjoy teaching now, it wasn't my original intent, but I found out soon that I did enjoy teaching. So I got into that. Uh, did not want to be in a classroom, so I was like, PE is my only option if I'm going to teach. I loved movement. I love being active. Still to this day, love being active. I do different fitness competitions, things like that. So it was always a big passion of mine. So I got into PE. My first job was actually at Midway. I was there for a few weeks, and then started at Powell Valley, which I was there for probably 8 years or so.
Quite a while.
And throughout that time, I coached basketball, but like I said, I taught PE, taught fundamental movement patterns, all that stuff that I loved. But throughout that whole time, I just had a burning desire to help people in that fitness space. And so an opportunity came up to where I could be at Claiborne and had that opportunity to be around athletes and help in that capacity. And so I wrestled with it, prayed with it, because it was a very tough decision, because I had a group of young men. We had just come off of a championship, and that team actually, fast forward 2 years later, they finished fourth in the state in single A basketball. So it's a very tough decision, but as tough as it was, I know that I made that right decision.
What education did you have? I mean, you went to Carson Newman, evidently.
Yeah.
And training now? Talk about the education you have to do and keep doing.
Right. So for me, I started out with a 4-year degree in kinesiology, obviously with a teaching licensure added to that. That was my sole basis of knowledge all the way for, I guess, about 8 years. And then as I kind of stumbled through the world of strength and conditioning, I realized that there was a lot left to be desired as far as my knowledge and my hunger for knowledge. So I did what I promised myself I wouldn't do, and that was go back to school. So I went back to school and I got my master's of science in strength and conditioning. So I have a master's in strength and conditioning. Then I also have a USA level 1 weightlifting certification. And then I have an ISSA strength coach certification and nutrition certification.
Do you have yearly classes?
Yes. So we have continued education units that we have to require. So in order for not necessarily my licensure, but my certifications, obviously my master's, I've got my diploma, but my USA weightlifting, and then my strength and conditioning certification, and then my nutrition certification, I have to kind of take classes throughout the year to keep those up to date, keep those fresh.
Let's talk about the joy you get seeing athletes change physically and mentally.
That's probably the best thing. I know coaching basketball all those years, you loved seeing the light bulb click. Same way in my classroom when I was teaching PE, I loved it when, especially kids that maybe struggle, when you see that finally connect, whether it's throwing a ball, learning a game, when you see that connect, it's like that's what it's about. That's the reward, besides my massive paycheck, right? But that's the reward for me. And it's the same way in strength conditioning. I love seeing kids dig deep within themselves and find out that they can do more than they originally thought. And to be a part of that, to me, is something special. Or to see a kid that's like, hey, I want to improve my vertical. And so to be able to put a program into place to see them gain 2 to 3 inches on a vertical, or to gain some strength or some speed, and just to see the joy on their faces. I had 3 or 4 young men a few years ago. They all went to play collegiate baseball, but one of them in particular, he had put on probably 10 to 12 pounds, and he's like, man, I've got to get my 60 time down, because he was going to UVA Wise to play baseball. And so we worked and we worked and we worked, and despite gaining that extra 15 pounds, we got his 60 time back down to when he was 15 pounds lighter. And to see that, like, I'll never forget when he crossed that line, and I clicked the time, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I showed it to him, and he was just running around the track, going crazy. So yeah, I still get that same joy I did from coaching basketball those years. It's just a different setting now.
Getting away from sports a little bit, what can we all do to improve ourselves physically?
Physically, move. I tell everybody that I work with, because I've got probably 8 or 9 people that I train remotely online. I just tell them my goal for them is to move well and to move often. So simple things that I tell people to do: aim for 10 to 12,000 steps a day. Little things like parking further away at the grocery store. Now, obviously, if you have issues or bad knees, that's a different story. But
Yeah.
if you are capable, park a little bit further away. Don't drive around for 20 minutes waiting on that spot. Just park in the back, walk. There's a lot of different things that we can add into our daily regimen to help ourselves a little bit.
Is there one food that we should be eating more of that we're kind of lacking?
I think the biggest thing, and a lot that I work with my clients and even high school athletes, is protein. I mean, good protein sources, beef, chicken, venison, like whatever your heart desires, because as far as the American diet goes, I would say 90% of people undereat on protein. We get a lot of carbohydrates, we get a lot of fats, but
It was kind of bleeding into my next question.
Yeah.
What mistakes do we make daily?
Daily. Well, I would say not moving enough, number one, because we tend to be, and even myself sometimes, sometimes you get stuck in the office working on things and we find ourselves in a seated position. I've got some of my clients that I work with that I tell them to follow the 30-60 rule. So for every 30 minutes you sit down, simply stand up for 60 seconds and go for a walk. Unless your people in the office look at you crazy, you can do some jumping jacks or some air squats. Find some movement because there's some really good studies showing that just that small change can pay big dividends in the long run.
All right. You have something planned for the area youth. Tell us about it.
Yes, so I am super excited about this to announce the first year and hopefully many years to come, the Claiborne County Elite Fitness Day. So this day is something that's been a year in the making. I have been working really closely with Miss Kelly from Hamlin County. She's their coordinated school health director.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about this, I guess, since last spring, and I approached Coach Klein with the idea. He's our coordinated school health director, and he was on board. He loved it. Kind of gave me the go ahead to start kind of getting things in the works. And our school board has been super supportive. My administration's been super supportive. So this day is going to be to celebrate our kids in Claiborne County and their fitness levels in some of the areas that we test within our district.
What kind of events are you going to do? Well, let's go into detail about some of the events.
Yeah,
basically.
So what we're looking here, this is a little bit different than our normal field days, and this is not going to replace any of our schools' field days.
Mm-hmm.
They will still have their field days. I want them to have that. This is not that whatsoever. This is just simply we are taking the five components of physical fitness, and we're looking at a few of those and testing those in our kids. So for me, we throughout the years, even growing up here in Claiborne County, we've had things like the Math Olympics where we take our top students or literacy bowls and history, and we take our top performers and we allow them to compete. Obviously, me being someone who loves physical fitness and a physical, education teacher, we've never really had something like that at a district level for our physical education students. And I've known throughout my years of teaching, there's been so many times, and this is not always the case, but there's been so many times where I've had a student that maybe will struggle in the classroom, but the moment they get to run around in a gym setting, they're a different kid. They're no longer dealing with problematic issues. They can move. They can be a little bit louder. So those kids, for me, this is an opportunity for those kids that may not ever have that opportunity to see that success in the classroom. Then they might. But for those that struggle to see that success in the classroom, this might be that opportunity for them to get on a district level in front of all of their peers from across the county. And to me, growing up being a competitor, I thought, how cool would it be to not only say that, I'm the fastest kid at Ella Myers or Springdale or SMMS, but no, I'm the fastest kid in Claiborne County.
Claiborne County.
And so I really want this to be an event that we really, and again, the support's been amazing from the board and our administration, but really hype this up to something where these kids can be proud of, something that, the word gets spread and everybody wants to compete. Now, we're not just dreading like, oh, I've got to do a pacer test or push-ups. Like, no, I want to compete. So, like I said, the fitness day is going to be comprised of our pacer test, which is something we already test within our PE departments. We'll be looking at a sit-up test. So we'll test that muscular endurance. We'll be looking at push-ups. We'll do a softball throw for some power development. And then we will have a sprint event, probably 50 to 75 yards. and then we will also have a floater event in which everybody can participate, all of the kids that day, and they'll do the mile test. And so the goal is for my morning block, that's going to be strictly fitness day. So what the schools will do, we're taking the top 5 girls and boys from 3rd through 6th grade, and so they'll be bussed out to the high school, and the schools will select, or the PE teachers, excuse me, they'll select one student per event. So out of their 5 boys, 1 for each event,
Okay.
1 girl for each event, and in the afternoon I've got some fun unannounced team games, so we can be a little competitive, school versus school. So
Okay. You mentioned Claiborne and Cumberland Gap.
Mhm.
Have you reached out to the academy or anything like that?
No, but that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. That'd be a good one because they are in Claiborne County.
Yeah.
The biggest issue would be right now buses, getting them over there.
Got busted everywhere.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, but no, right now we've just got our students from Claiborne County, and it's 3rd through 6th grade. I would love to grow it into the original intent was middle school, but I wanted to start a little bit younger to try to create some buy-in because I did teach. I did teach K
Makes
through 8,
sense.
and I know sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when we were 7th and 8th graders, we're a little too cool to do some stuff. So my goal is that we create some buy-in from our younger students that when they get to 6th grade, they're like,
Good idea.
they're begging, Coach, come on, tell
Can't wait
that
till
guy,
next year.
yeah, tell
Let's do
that guy at Claiborne to bump it up to 8th grade, right? Because I want to compete.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is to really promote the physical fitness and health and well-being, and the fact that we get to move our bodies.
Okay. Community, you said, has already wrapped yourself around you.
Yeah.
Do you need anything else? Community, local businesses?
Listen, if anybody wants to support financially, we can always use that. I've not really asked for anything more than I need from our board, and then I've also got the Claiborne County Health Council. They've pitched in as well.
Good.
What like I said earlier, I want this to be awesome for the kids. So anything financially that we can receive. So my plan as of right now, based upon funding, we're going to do T-shirts for every child, and so it's going to have a custom logo. It's going to say Claiborne County Elite Fitness Day. All that stuff. For the winners, we're not doing ribbons. We're going to do really nice Olympic style medals. Mr. Pritchard has been a super huge help over at the high school. He's building some Olympic style podiums, so it's going to be a big ordeal. I want the kids. I want this to be something the kids can take pride in. I'm also working. Our lunch staffs are amazing in all of our schools. They're going to provide bag lunches, but I would love to. I'm working with Emory at Pizza Inn about maybe getting pizzas to possibly feed them. So if you want to reach out financially, I can promise you it's all going towards the kids to make this the best experience we can.
All right. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, just the first year might be a little bumpy. We're trying to figure things out, but like I said, my hopes is that this is something that we can continue to do year in and year out, and I really hope that it's something that when I'm done teaching, that they're still carrying the torch and still promoting health and wellness and getting kids out there moving well and moving often.
Be nice.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Thanks to all our partners for allowing us to do what we do at First Century Bank and Course for Communications. Rex Caleb's in the Sports Center. Thank you very much. And thanks for watching. Until next time, God bless.